Guys, good morning. It's a Thursday morning, and we are about to start talking about what is holistic pharmacy. And I have a special guest today who is going to join us, so we're going to wait for her. But I'm really excited to talk about today's topic where um, we talk about different aspects of how the pharmacy can be. Ooh, we have our guest here. I can't hear you. You might want to check your microphone. Mm, no? Yeah, maybe you might have to. You want to try getting back in? Your connection's great. Okay, got that fixed. So I just muted you and then unmuted you. You can hear me, right? You can hear me? You cannot hear me either. Oh my goodness. Everything's working. Because when I talk, my microphone's going off. Is your microphone going off? Like, there's like a green thing that happens. Mm, no, that is bizarre. Hey guys, can you guys hear us? I'm checking if people can hear us. I don't know how to fix this. Audio. Yeah, I have it all set up. Mine's working. Communication. How about now? Can you hear me? Okay. But then I still can't hear you. Mm, how do you fix this? Go to your settings and restream. You can hear me, right? Okay, but I can't hear you at all. Whoa. I don't know how to fix this. We can't hear her either, see? But you can, David, can you hear me? Yeah, the others can hear me, but they can't hear you. Do you want to go in your. Okay, come back in. Anyway, so she's going to come back. Let's see. Add to the stream. No, no luck. Let's check. David, can you hear? Can you still hear me? You can hear me. Okay. How do we fix this? Oh boy. You might want to check the source of your microphone. If you have like I have an added microphone with the camera, and I went to my settings, and then I was able to. Okay, see, they can hear me. So something's not connected from your end. Oh boy, got a long this thing to get started. Mm, this is so crazy. How do we fix it? Let me. I'm gonna go ask these guys. I'm checking in with Restream. Okay, I can hear something. Did you fix something?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay. What was it?
Well, I had a oh my god, what do you call it? I had it hooked up to my external mic and camera, but now I just went on my laptop because it wasn't switching the mic source or the camera for some reason. So,
Okay, that's
all
fine.
right, well, here we go. Technical
Awesome.
difficulties.
Thanks for fixing that. All
Yeah,
right.
and it wasn't working on my phone either because I tried to go on my phone. It was saying browser not supported. So, anyway, now we know.
Yeah, I guess for next time, maybe we'll just fix it ahead of time. But well, welcome to the LinkedIn Live. We're actually live on multiple platforms: Facebook,
Awesome.
YouTube, Twitter. So pretty exciting to have you, Dr. Buksov.
Thank
And
you so much for having me.
absolutely, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to work with you and have been met you in Utah. That was also fun. So I wanted to dive deeper into holistic pharmacy and like your journey of how you went from allopathic to holistic and what does it really mean to be a holistic pharmacist. And then we'll talk about what you offer, your programs, and different things. But you're so knowledgeable and you're literally like a like your ancient herbalist now because you know everything. But plant medicine is where it all began, and that's where we
Yes,
need to stick, right? So
absolutely.
let's get started. You are in Brooklyn, and you've been the host of Raw Fork, your podcast, which I've been on, and a lot of listeners now. Since like what you started 2 years ago or so.
Yeah, the podcast, yeah, is about 2 years old, about
Nice.
give or take.
Awesome. I'm going to put your website in the comment section so everyone can go and log on and check it out. It's a beautiful website. She's putting a lot of work into it. Also, she has newsletters and different blog posts that goes out. So a lot of information that you can get from getting signed up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, I am in Brooklyn, New York, though I was born and raised in Ukraine. And I came here and I did my, well, I came here when I was 9. And so I completed my schooling here and my pharmacy school here. But ever since finishing pharmacy school, I felt like I don't really fit into any setting, even though one of the reasons I chose pharmacy is because there's like a variety of settings that you can end up practicing in. So that was exciting that you'll never get bored. You can always switch around what you're doing, and the idea of like helping people and also helping myself and my family, because health, of course, is very important. And of course, this pandemic is showing how important it is to have good health. If you don't have health, you don't have anything.
Yeah, I
So,
think that
yeah,
people have realized that health is true wealth. Health is like,
exactly. It is true wealth, because if you have health, you can achieve anything else. If you don't, then you'll spend all your time and money trying to be healthy. So, the point of life is to have a great experience, and the healthier you are, the more you can achieve your experiences or go after your dreams, or whatever that is for you, living your best life. You pretty much need health to achieve anything. So, and you can spend more time with your loved ones if you're healthy, and you can also help them be the healthier, best versions of themselves, and support
absolutely.
them.
You cannot thrive without having the best internal health. And, we don't realize how we push it so much, so much, so much that we crash one day, and then, we get to a point of no return sometimes because the damage is really bad, right?
Yeah. Well, coming to this country as an immigrant, and having different sort of experiences and perspectives, and the way I was brought up, showed me that contrast, that people here are just like very go go go, especially New York, very driven to succeed. And then, just what does that success mean, right? We want to define what that is before we can achieve it or claim that we achieve it. And again, so everything kind of boiled down to, if you're not healthy, you can't live your best life, and you can't, quote unquote, have success. So we're, just working, like the Dalai Lama, right, said, you just like work yourself to the grave, and then you spend all your money to try to dig out of that grave. And that's kind of the culture that I came
Pretty
into.
much. And then you also know that a lot of people leave behind so much money, they never used it their whole life.
No, they never used it. They never got to enjoy what they're working so hard for.
I totally agree. So, absolutely, like the whole mindset, right? Like Ukraine versus here, I think I saw that too because we're happier with less money because we enjoy, the little things there. And I just feel like the family relationships are so much better. Like we had a three-story house, my parents lived on one, and then one was a common like hosting floor, and then my grandparents lived on one. And we had our fair share of, trying to adjust with each other. But it was amazing because now all my principles and my learning and my base comes from my grandparents. So you agree, like, do you guys have that kind of culture too, where you're, more so into the community and very close to the family?
Yeah, I think the community is so important, and relationships in general, whether it's with your family or your friends or your neighbors. That is one of the things that could be missing in like a go, 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 individualized, independent culture. And especially like in New York, people here come for their dreams, right? They rent tiny little closet apartments and live by themselves, and never even know who their neighbors are, because they're always working or commuting or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
And again, that's one of the things this pandemic is showing, is that
we are
we're losing
kind
that
of.
connection. Now that we're told, now that it's taken away from us, the opportunity to be in community, now we're missing it and craving it because we didn't
I
realize
think
we took
it's
it
a
for
good thing.
granted.
I think it's a
Um,
good thing. Whatever came
so
out of it, I am always about the silver linings, and I think we care more about people now, and we are like I've found this entrepreneur community of my own, and I feel that we're all connected now, and it's just different. It took me a while, but I think there's multiple facets of how it happened, like post pandemic, and more people are like in our pharmacist community, more people are entrepreneurial and launching their programs. So I think we
yeah,
kind of have gotten
absolutely.
together to a different level, I feel.
Yeah, and all of that is really exciting. But to loop back to what you were saying about like the amount of money you have and like how you live as a family and as a community, that was another eye-opening thing because I don't think it's the amount of money you have. It's like what you said before, it's actually just the awareness of being in gratitude for the things you do have, whether it's a little or a lot, being in gratitude for that and realizing and not taking it for granted. And again, utilizing your resources. So, not just to like look at them, oh, this is a nice certificate that I have, this is $1 million that I have, but to actually like put it to use and take action on it.
Yes.
Whether that's traveling, whether that's saving the world, whether that's, designing like energy saving
Yeah,
products for us. Like look at all these people that are the winners and successful people and the rich people in our community that we respect, and admire, is because they're actually using that wealth for the greater good and doing something productive with it and not just hoarding it
absolutely.
for whatever
Absolutely.
frivolous things.
It's not about how much money, but what you can do with it. Honestly.
Yes. Yes. So that's the power, right? Money is just the way that you
It's a
can
vehicle.
go
Yeah.
somewhere. It's just the vehicle,
Yep.
and so
Absolutely.
when you have that in mind, the goal is not the money, the goal is what the money can get you. I think is a great way to go for that success or to structure your goals around and to really keep those priorities and those goals in mind, that it's not just the money is the figurehead, right? It's not that you're chasing, it's what can you actually do with it.
Do with
And
it. Yeah.
sometimes you don't
I
even
like the
need it, there's
holistic
other
approach to
opportunities.
money mindset.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes even if you have that your eye on the prize, right, the actual goal behind the money, you may not even need that extra stuff of the money. You might come to an opportunity that somebody will present to you where no money is exchanged. You can actually get to your goals in alternative ways. But if we're obsessed with like, oh, there's only one way to get to my goal, and the universe is like, no, there's also this way, but you completely ignore it, then
Absolutely.
it will just take you longer.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think we've all been guilty of stuff like that to some extent. And then you kind of take a step back and realize that there is more to life and, different things that we can really dive into. So, uh, going back to our original topic of how did you end up in holistic pharmacy, like what was it that you felt was missing?
Yeah. So that's kind of why I chose pharmacy, right? Because of the different opportunities and also because of the salary. I mean, let's be honest, I wanted to know that I could provide for my future family and myself and be independent also and successful, right? So that was a consideration. And then being in medicine, like I said, was just something that I thought was going to be very practical because if I learn how to take care of myself and I learn medically about my own body and about all the pharmaceutical interventions, which at the time I thought was how you treat your body, then I'll be set. I'll be able to be the caretaker of my family and of myself and be kind of like the gatekeeper of the knowledge and be able to help others, not just my family as well, and get an income from that. So all of those were positives that I considered. And then my parents were both chemists and biologists, so it was kind of in the same realm. Um, and so they encouraged me to go for it, and I did. And so after graduation, I was completely lost because there was like no place for me. I started out in a retail setting and I realized that I was feeling guilty, like dispensing medications, like it wasn't aligned to my values. I was feeling like, how are these people taking 20, 30 pills on a daily basis? Like, how am I giving this out with a clear conscience? I can't.
Yeah.
So, like, it would be just very draining and upsetting on a soul level for me that
Yes.
I'm
It
part
was
of this
very soul
system.
crushing, right? To
Yeah.
know that there is different ways out there and you're kind of boxed up and you just have to pretend like this is the only way.
Yeah, because this is what I was trained
Mm.
in. These are the skills I have, right? to know about the medications, to know about the good things and the bad things and the interactions and the counseling, but I'm not using the full skill set and the whole scope of my knowledge when I'm dispensing medications. And I'm not really getting paid to use the whole, scope. It's just about, being part of the system.
Yep.
Somebody's paying for the medications, and we need to make sure to give out as much as possible because somebody is paying for it and somebody's prescribing it. And that you're kind of just there for like almost like a little bit of a gatekeeper, but not really.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, we're just, we go through extensive training, but then we're boxed up and then we're just supposed to do what's been told. And that's what I didn't like, because I'm like, that's not what I became a pharmacist for,
No. So I realized, even though I know there are better ways, I don't actually possess the skills or the clinical training to advise other people. Like I have a limited, right, amount of non-pharmacological skills that we were taught. Okay, eat a good diet. Okay, get sleep, get exercise, which is like very basic things that we know to counsel on. But we usually don't counsel them because we discount the power of them. Number one, we discount like that the simple things are actually the most important foundational things. And we think, okay, if we take the latest, genetic test and we just do one little tweak and take one little pill, this will solve everything. And, I won't have to change anything else. I'll just have the solution and the shortcut right there. And it would be great if things worked like that. It would be great if there was a magic solution and magic pill, but we're just seeing that you need to do it all. You can't just go and do the shortcut.
No, there's no shortcuts to health. And I've realized that from my personal journey too. And then, of course, we see a lot of patients during our training. We spend like almost 2.5 years in different rotations. So, the answers are outside of what we're actually looking into.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's just like the basic skill sets and the basic like common sense knowledge, the foundational things about our bodies and about our health and about how we're an autonomous body, right? We get to be the caretaker of our own body. That's not really taught to us. We're taught that you have to go to the expert, you have to get the diagnosis, then you have to get the pill. There's a pill for every ill. And a lot of people were indoctrinated with this even idea that if the doctor doesn't give you a pill, he's a bad doctor because he didn't help me. He didn't give me a solution.
How many times our patients are disgruntled when they go to the doctor and they didn't write a antibiotic?
Right. Yes.
Because the doctor said you're fine and
yes,
drink lots of water. And maybe if you feel fever, take Tylenol and rest, right? Yes. That's not a good doctor in their eyes.
So people expect, right? People, the generation or two generations before us, they've been kind of indoctrinated that this is the way you treat your body. This is the way you get better. This is the way you suppress symptoms, and if you don't have symptoms, you're fine, right? Because, the goal is to suppress the symptom and feel fine. But what we're seeing is suppressing the symptom doesn't suppress the actual illness of what's going on and developing.
It's actually like, analogy wise, think of it like you have a clogged, like a sink. Yes. And you ignore it, or you kind of just shove something down, and then the problem's still there, right? And then you're fine for a few days. Then what happens is it bursts out the pipe.
Now you have to spend a lot more money and time fixing it.
More time, a lot more.
You gotta replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we only have one body, right? We can't just replace our whole body. So I think
people love Warren Buffett, right? He always says you have one body to live in. Take care of it.
Yes.
This guy is a multi-billionaire, and he is whatever age he is right now, and he really still focuses on his health, and everything else is a byproduct, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you do only have one body and one life that we know of, or even if you don't, like, you're here now. So I
Yeah,
think,
why make it hard, right?
yeah,
Even
why
if
not
it's,
live this one that you have right now in front of
yeah,
you, right? And so we're not really taught to value ourselves and our health and our bodies, and to, really honor what our body needs and what our emotional and soul needs are, to, like, what purpose do we have living here, right? Like I
that
said,
is
you,
so
you
true.
can have
That is so
money, you
true.
can have experiences, you can travel, you can, like, think that you know what you want, but unless you have a purpose and you're feeling like you're contributing to the greater good, like I mentioned before, that, all the rest doesn't matter. I think we all need to feel like we're wanted and we're needed and we're appreciated and we're valued. And the way we go about that is based on what is taught to us about success. But when you actually go through it, you may realize, like, this is not the road that led me to fulfillment. I'm actually not living out my purpose. And
Absolutely.
that's also at the very, root of health, because if you have a purpose, if you have a will, you will find a way, and some people that are, have terminal diagnoses and have, like, really poor prognoses will find a
Mhm.
way to survive and thrive with the limited time they have, whereas other people may have, like, a long stretch of life and then still feel like they're unfulfilled at the end of it, right? So it just, a matter of perspective. It's a matter of, like, putting your
Absolutely.
priorities there.
Shift your perspective and shift your mindset, and your life is completely different. Isn't that crazy how this one organ we have, it could completely change everything for us?
Yeah, and it can, like, open up a multitude of dimensions, like, and realities
Absolutely.
and possibilities.
So, what was your turning point? Like, when did you decide that this is what you want to do and this is your life calling? And like, you would realize that it aligns with your values, but what was that turning point that got you charged up to go 100% this route?
So to be honest, it was probably a combination of things, and it was over a period of time. Like, there wasn't one event that made me, like, quit pharmacy cold turkey and start my own thing. It was more like a slow awareness and awakening, and building slowly over time, so that I could, like, put my roots down and start projects and start the process, part time, right? And have, like, a side thing going for a while until I felt secure enough to go for it full time. And the combination of factors was really personal and professional. So I was finding that ever since, I was having this, I call it a quarter life crisis of graduating from pharmacy and not feeling like I fit in, and, having, like, a lot of anxiety over where to go in pharmacy, and then settling.
Mm.
I think it's settling in a position that didn't, really vibe with my values, right? I realized that, but it was giving me an income. So it was fulfilling one part that pharmacy was supposed to fulfill,
Just
but
one part, which was honestly lots of bills getting taken care of.
yeah. So it was fulfilling only one, and then I invested that monetary aspect to educating myself in the other skills that I lacked, because I had a strong belief that this was not the best way to serve people, and not the best way to use our resources and our knowledge.
And talent. We're so,
Mhm.
like, as pharmacists, we're such talented people. We have 400 drugs off our memory with side effects, major interactions. We go through so much schooling. So we are really talented beings. And why are we not using it to the fullest capacity? Right?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that really, weighs on people. At least it did on me. The fact that I felt like I'm not living up to my potential. I could do more. I could help more. Like, why am I settling? Right? That feeling that you're just not enough. And so I wanted to give myself the opportunity to fulfill that. And in the same time, so I was going through a personal like healing journey because throughout my life I had like some digestive issues and other things that would pop up and be a pattern. But especially towards the end of pharmacy school, I was like diagnosed with like lots of different interesting, weird things. It was just like one thing
Don't we
after,
all? Don't we
yeah,
all? I had a major awakening through that too. I was bedridden for 4 months and during pharmacy school. So that was my turning point. So you kind of had it gradually because you must have, like everyone's body's different, but so 5, 7 years into it, you're like, I'm also sick now,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So it wasn't like, yeah, my body was like so resilient and all of a sudden I crashed, but it was like little things would pop up, unexplainable things, things that wouldn't make sense. And then being a patient going through the healthcare system showed me also how disempowering it is. Like how you're just presented with one pretty much invasive and like extreme option to help you. And then you feel like you have to take it and
Yeah,
insurance pays for it. So you
yeah.
just go and do it. But you don't have any other options that are much more gentle and safer because they're not offered to
I would
you.
say the options are there, but they are not paid for. You
They're
have
not
to
paid
pay out of
for. Yeah, they're
pocket.
not reimbursed. But even being somebody with the background of pharmacy, having being close to graduation or after graduation being a young professional, me going through the system showed me that I feel like I have to take this extreme route because nothing else is being presented. And I was researching some other options, but initially I would just trust whatever I was told and I would go along with it. Later on, when I had other things pop up, that's when I started saying, well, you know what, I'm going to research my own stuff because I just don't want to do this option. Right. And so, but there was no other options. Second, third opinions, same thing. It would just be escalated and, surgery and all this stuff was offered,
Yep,
but not,
invasive, invasive, invasive.
yeah, invasive and long-term drug therapy for things that are honestly minor. And what actually helped me was herbal medicine.
And
So
some diet changes, right? Like simple things.
simple things. So no, nobody told me about diet. Nobody told me about mind body connection. No, nobody told me any of that until I learned about it through trial and error and like going from the conventional route to just trying all kinds of different holistic and alternative routes. So eventually I did everything from like energy work and Reiki, hypnosis to nutrition and herbal therapy and functional medicine. So I kind of had my foot in all of these things as a patient and as a practitioner because I was also learning about them and taking courses in similar
Nice.
areas because I wanted to specialize in something.
Have you noticed, Marina, that every doctor or clinician, let's say we are all clinicians, from allopathic or the traditional world have transitioned into this world through their personal journey, and everybody that I've talked to or listened to, because I listen to a lot of interviews, it's the same thing. They
Yes,
couldn't find the answers. They just
yeah,
couldn't find the answers.
exactly. And that's upsetting, right? Because we want
It's
our,
powerful at the same time, right?
yeah,
Like it's upsetting as a patient, but then it's powerful as a clinician because now you have thoroughly, kind of dived deeper into how to help from that to this. And we have both
yes.
the knowledge. Like we've spent our lifetime learning these things.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I have my own podcast. So I literally interview people and how they became, in the space of holistic pharmacy of some sort. And it's a huge majority has their personal story. or at least somebody close to them that was going through the system as a patient that, didn't receive the care or, the adjunct therapy that could have been helpful.
Yeah.
So
So at this point, honestly, like I feel very satisfied because like now I have hundreds of clients. So we've taken them from point A to point B, and a lot of it through nutrition and supplements and diet, lifestyle changes. So you feel way more aligned, right, with your life purpose and the true calling that you're following.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't really have a roadmap for what I was doing. When I started, there wasn't that many people I could look up to in pharmacy in particular. I had one mentor who graduated a year above me from my school that I kept in touch with over the years, and now she's really big in the pharmacy community and the coaching community as well. So I was like unofficially being mentored and inspired by her and kind of following in her footsteps. And besides that, only now I'm seeing like pharmacists step out and be leaders in the entrepreneurial space and into carving their own pharmacy niche that's not available, right? So I didn't know what holistic pharmacy is, what herbal pharmacy is when I started, but because of my personal and professional steps that I took to learn about myself and the disease states that I was dealing with, and then apply that to educating myself in other things that these modalities could be helpful in, and then helping my family and community in the process as well, and slowly also building my experience and client base. That's when I started to have a clearer picture, right? I had no idea what I was doing since it just wasn't clear. Now there's like much more programs available. A lot of them are even accredited. A lot of them are even in universities. But when I started, I wasn't really sure where I was going and how I was going to get there. I just knew that there was more to the picture that I need to learn. And then eventually it became more clear.
But then a lot of it came from actually doing the work and looking into it, spending time and energy into it. If you don't dive into it, there's going to be no clarity. And yeah, clarity is prosperity, but how are you going to get clarity if you don't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to take a step forward towards it.
Yeah. And we always talk about evidence-based medicine, right? So for me, there's no evidence higher than empiric experience. Like if I have gone through it and I attest to what this has done for me and my body feels that and I was able to heal, then it works, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't have this faith and, this, conviction in what I'm doing if I didn't see it or experience it for myself. And
Absolutely.
that's when, what you mentioned about practitioners going through it is very powerful. And
It
I
is.
also saw the drawbacks of some of these things too. So, as much as I wanted to believe in certain types of both conventional and alternative therapies, some of them just didn't work for me. And that's not to say they won't work for other people, but I just know like, okay, this worked for me, this did not work for me. Like I wanted this to work, but it didn't. So there, you never know. And that's why it's so individualized.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now let's talk to our people who will be listening to this live and after. Like, how can you help someone, and what do you offer as a holistic pharmacist and your coaching program? And like, I have your website up here, so I'll post it again at the end. But I just want you to kind of narrow it down to what all you can do for people and how you help them, because there's people looking for you.
Yes, absolutely. So, because I didn't have a clear cut goal or structure or roadmap or guide to what I was doing, I just knew again that I wanted to do more than retail pharmacy, and I wanted to use my skill more, and I wanted to reach my full potential, and I was interested in like holistic for personal and professional lens. It kind of led me down a roundabout path of getting to where I am. And I feel because I have gone there and I've taken some wrong turns and I've taken some loops, it puts me in the perfect position to guide and mentor others so they could avoid the same pitfalls and mistakes. And what I do now is I help condense everything that I have learned on my journey and structure it out so that people can get to their goals faster. So it's almost like a shortcut, right? And again, even though I mentioned before there are no shortcuts, you're still going to have to do the work. But if you want
Yes.
to do the work more
But the
efficiently,
guidance,
yeah,
like instead of like there is a path that you can
exactly.
follow, a successful path, because we both have wandered and we didn't get to it right away because we had to carve our own path. So we're just inviting people to walk that path that we've carved, right? So I totally
Exactly.
understand. Like you, yeah, I agree that there's no shortcuts. You still have to put in the work, and it's not easy by any means. But now you have someone who can actually, hold your hand, and that's what we're doing is cutting down their time to the point that where they want to be in a shorter time. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, we're collapsing time essentially. We're condensing it. And for me, the hand holding and the personalized attention and personal guidance is what was the most helpful. Like so when I look back on my journey, I could see what's the most helpful, what's the least helpful, like what do you need to do for sure, what do you need to prioritize, and then what can you just skip, because it's just a heartache and doesn't work out at the end. So that's what I do. I, hear people, like hear where they are right now and where they want to go. I listen to them. And then we structure out a plan. And I'm also there holding their hands as they are carrying this plan out. Because I was just sharing with another business owner before this call, it can feel lonely, if you're starting your own business or you're starting
Very
your company. And again, it's nice when you have the inspiration and the examples like, Dr. Monsi and other pharmacists that you see them like walk their own journeys. And like you said, it's the road less traveled, right? But the more we travel on it, the more others can join us on there and we can expand and build better roads. So that's what I'm doing. I'm building a better road, a better infrastructure because of my own experiences. But because I also know that it's challenging to do it alone, that can be a
absolutely.
hindrance.
It's very scary to do it
If
alone.
you don't have a business partner, if you don't have maybe a family partner, a cheerleader or support guide, a mentor, you can just feel overwhelmed and at a loss, and you can give up way before you even start, right? You talk yourself out of it, you have excuses. So there's going to be this annoying, persistent idea all the time popping up. I could be doing more. I can go for my dreams. I should reach my potential, but you're always going to come up with excuse not to. So the way to go about that is to have somebody on your side and on your team. So if you can't, go and start a brand new company with a lot of team members right away, which most people probably can't, and if you are starting at step one by yourself, it could be really helpful to feel like you're working with somebody and you have a team member that believes in you and your mission and is
Absolutely.
guiding you too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're really thankful that you're doing this. And I've posted your website. I would love to bring you back on our LinkedIn Live, on more regular basis so you could teach people little nuggets and give some, something that they could start applying and see how powerful it is.
Yes.
So then we can kind of have more discussions with them. So let's continue our little talks that are on different levels of spiritualism and professionalism and career paths and just in life general. Like it's amazing how like we get to a different point when we start a business. Like we're just a whole different awakened being, I feel.
Yes. And one little piece of advice that I would invite you to think about if you're, even considering entrepreneurship, is something that was really helpful for me was realizing that you may not be the person who can be an entrepreneur right now, but that doesn't mean you can't become that person.
Right.
You might have to become a whole different person in order to do what you want to do, and that's okay. Like
That's
in this
okay.
lifetime, you can become a different person if that's what you choose. If you decide like I don't want to carry on this quality or this trait, I can choose to not have it and to change it and to have a different one instead. You can choose
Yes.
that.
That is just amazing that we're moldable and we can really help ourselves, but we kind of have to get a coach or somebody who can help us through the journey. And
Yes.
that's what you can provide. And we're grateful for that.
And I still get coached. I still have somebody hold my hand and help guide me forward because I've realized when I have somebody like that, I'm much more productive and I actually reach my goals rather than just doing the wrong moves and like, not having the foresight and not
Coaches
having.
have coaches too. I have a coach, um, and I pay her monthly so I could have her as my guide, like a guidance person. And it's amazing. Like we all have
Yes,
coaches and we all, talk to each other too. The entrepreneurs, like, hey, what are you
yes,
doing? How, we learn from each other and then we have coaches and then we are always like learning from
yes.
different programs. Like, it's just a constant journey of improving
Exactly.
yourself.
And pharmacists, I think, are the people that I have heard the most from, that they are continuously wanting to learn and they're just craving, learning more and more and more. So it's about like deciding and determining which style of learning fits you best. What kind of support do you work best in? How do you thrive? So for me, having tried like everything, I realized I need that coaching. I need that personalized attention and the consultant people on my side in order for me to thrive. And that's why I teach in that style, but based on what has worked for me.
Absolutely. Awesome. So, with that being said, let's continue our LinkedIn Lives and other streams that we are on. And I'd love to have you again. I have your website posted multiple times so people will reach out to you. And hey, I mean, you're there to help them out. What a great feeling, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Next time we won't have the technical difficulties. Now I know how to do this. And if
Awesome.
anybody's interested in reaching out to me, you can contact me from my website. And my podcast is also there in case you want to hear other inspiring stories about other pharmacists. And also, I have a Facebook group where I always come out and give valuable content and guides and
Well,
tips.
yeah, that would be great container for people to join for getting more info on the lives that you do on Facebook.
Yes. So I have a lot of free resources for anybody that's interested. So we can post a link to that. And if you just go on Facebook, you can look it up by typing in holistic pharmacists and you should get that group.
Yeah, I just posted in the chat the link to the group so people
Awesome.
will have access to that. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, dear, and have a powerful week ahead. And I will see you soon sometime.
Sounds good. Bye, Dr. Mansi.
Bye.